afternoon. This is Jody with Simply Stitching Ocala, and welcome back to my channel. If you are returning, if you are a new subscriber or a new watcher, I appreciate you watching, and if you're coming back for more, I appreciate you coming back. I will start off with just a small life update. I don't have a lot to share since my last video. My husband and I did have a friend unexpectedly pass away last week in a tragic way, and so that has been really heavy on my heart, and I haven't done a lot of stitching. Also, our dog has been pretty sick, not eating. He's an 8.5-year-old boxer mix. They really at this point they're still not sure. They said lung cancer, then the specialist said could be really bad pneumonia. So we're doing all kinds of things right now to try to help him. But needless to say, between those two things, there hasn't been a lot of stitching going on, and that's how it is sometimes. You guys know, if you're stitchers or quilters or crafters, you know that it goes in cycles of ups and downs depending on what your life is doing. So I'm going to go through the few things that I do have to share with you. So, and I have my list in front of me so that I don't forget. So let's go with, I'm going to show you some previous finishes. So as you can see, I'm in my regular place. Last week I did a video for my craft room, but I am back in my kitchen as my hutch is decorated for Easter. Which, if I forget, happy Easter, because that will be coming up on Sunday. If you celebrate, hope you get to spend some time with your family and friends. So my first one, they're actually, the first two are actually by Tiny Modernist. So this one is called Easter Bunny. And again, I probably made this at least 3 years ago. So I'm not sure as far as colors or anything. It looks like it looks like 16 count, and probably it might be like a bramble. I'm not sure. Sorry. But it's super cute. So this wreath was already like this that I bought at Hobby Lobby several years ago. And it said Happy Easter. And so all I did was I had finished it, and then I even finished the back. I'm not sure why, but I did. But I put a magnet on it, and then I put the washer on there. And so you still see some of the brown signboard, but you don't see that it says Happy Easter. And I'm trying to think if I added, no, everything was there. All I did was add the magnet. And this actually sits on the tall tiered shelf from Hobby Lobby. This sits on the second to last bottom shelf, I believe, with no little plant next to it propped up. So, I mean, this is probably, it doesn't have the tag on it, but I would say this is probably this overall size. I would say, yeah, it's about 11 inches square probably, so it's pretty big, but I love this one. It's super cute. And the next one was a Tiny Modernist, and this one sits on my floor because it's a bunny stand that I got several years ago from, again, Hobby Lobby. And this is by Tiny Modernist, and this one's called Easter Wreath. And again, don't have written down, so I'm not sure if that was the called for colors or not. Yeah, I don't remember. And again, looks like the same fabric that I used for that. So it looks like it might have been like a bramble, like a 16 count bramble. But this is super cute. So all I have it's just, I take it off when I go to store it. So it's actually just tied on there with a ribbon. So it's easy for me to take on and off, because this is, you could put magnets and washers on it, but it's so thin that I decided to do the tie-on method instead. So this I don't know if I just said it sits on the floor. It doesn't. At my old house, it used to sit on the floor. At this house, it sits in the family room. It's on top of a little cabinet that I have in there, and it sits on top of it with some other little cute Easter things next to it. This last one was a free pattern. I believe when she did it, though, it was with the bunnies were white and then whiskers were pink. And I'm going to put the link below. It's Penelope's Freebies on her blog spot. And she has, again, like I said, this is probably 3 or 4 years ago. She has a lot of different freebies on her website. And I can't remember if it's like a French website. I just remember that it definitely is in a different language. But you can read the pattern just the same. So, and this was just a cute little fun quick stitch that I made into a pillow. You know, just added the fabric around it. And stuffed it with polyfill. So this actually sits in a little shelf I have in the hallway with some other little tiny thing. It's almost like a tiered tray, but a shelf. It's like a little shutter that's in my hallway that I seasonally change out. And then I know last video I talked about it, but you can see that's my banner up from Emily Call, salt.pepper.stitching on Instagram. And then if you can see down here below, that little pillow is the little, oh, that carrot thing is in front of it, but that little pillow is the carrot that's supposed to be stitched in between, and I just have it added as a pillow over there. But I love how that banner came out. And then I do have another stitching up there, hip hop. I can't remember if that's Priscilla Blaine, if it was when it was just Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, because I wasn't planning on showing those. There's also up there, that's one of Priscilla and Chelsea's Crunch. It's one of the What's in My Cup series. And then there is another one up there. I didn't look up. It's Peep. Ooh, it's hard to do. And that one is another one from Real Housewives of Cross Stitch, also from a few years ago. So yeah. Haul, I don't have a lot of haul. I've been trying to be better, somewhat better. But I couldn't pass up these amazing bags by Jess at Como Stitches. So this first one, look how cute that is, with all the farm animals. Love it, love it, love it. And I have a whip in there. And then this other one, she had these blocks already made. I can't remember if she said they were leftover blocks, but she was making them into bags. And so I just love it. I love that fabric that goes on the back with it. And then of course I did get the thread beds also that go with them. So that's really the only haul I think that I had. Not that I haven't purchased things, but maybe they just haven't arrived yet. So as far as widths, I started a new one to go along. So it's the, I have it on my iPad, I printed this really, but it's this Americana Red by Octoberhouse Firber Arts. And I'm doing mine on 16 count Atomic Ranch mint. But it doesn't really look like mint. There's not, it's like such a small hint of color. It's really, really hard to tell, even in person. So I'm sure you're not gonna be able to tell on here. But so I'm only gonna do the top portion of this. So I'm not gonna do any of that, and I'm not even gonna do this side portion. So I'm only gonna do this portion, which is enough. It's a big one. And I'm using, like I said, the 16 count Atomic Ranch, and then I'm using Ladybug thread by Classic Colorworks. And there's a lot, Ladybug has a lot of variegation, so I'm really, really loving it. So that's just where I have gotten so far. And I know that some of the Primrose ladies and Alicia and Jess Como Stitches, they are doing it. And I've only ever done one monochromatic stitch. So I said, I'm gonna hop on board. I just can't hop on board for that large piece. So I'm just gonna stick with the small area that I know that hopefully I can finish to keep me on track. And the next one, like I said, I didn't do like a ton of stitching. So the next one I just started yesterday. And that is, I'm working on Stitch Card P set. So I just started, so here's all of them that are in Stitch Card P. So, which I'm gonna do all 4 of these, and I have a piece that I'm gonna put all 4 of them on hanging in my craft room. It's my intention. So, so I started, and I'm using the called for. I got the thread pack from Fat Quarter Shop of the called for DMC. So I'm doing the first one, which is called Scissors. So this is the pattern of just that one, Scissors. And like I said, I started this actually in the pool yesterday. And I'm doing this on a new to me, it actually might be new, not just new to me. It's 16 count gray curved tile by Flair, and I got it from Fat Quarter Shop. And it's very similar. I like the gray gingham that Flair does that I've gotten at Fat Quarter Shop. And so I feel like it's going to be very similar to that. Like right now you see a pattern, but then once you've stitched on it, you kind of lose the pattern. So I'm thinking that's what happened with that. Even if you don't though, the pattern is so subtle that you hardly see it on the fabric, but yet it's not just a plain fabric, which is why I like it. So I do have other stitch alongs that I have to work on that I have not worked on, but I'll just show them. So the PC Hive Rules, which you can still join in on that. There's a Facebook group, and that is this one. So Saturday was the first, so we're supposed to be doing part 2. So I only have part 1 done. I'm gonna get on part 2. So that is one that I will be working on in the next 2 weeks. So hopefully I can get part 2 done. And then another stitch along that I'm currently doing is the one that's called the Sewing Room, and it's by Little Dove. And I'm a bad girl because I have not finished stitching part 1 yet. So I have not finished part 1 yet. All I have left to do is, like, there's another little section of the basket right here that goes up, of this part of the sewing basket. So I have not finished that. But part 2 for this month came out. So I also in the next 2 weeks need to be working on that. Because those are monthly where they just release, sections kind of thing. And I want to really stay caught up. So that would be my goal on those. And then a new stitch along. This is the one that I am hosting with Stitchy Linda. And it's a Stitcher's Garden. So I have that so you can see it. And we're going to use the hashtag on Instagram, a Stitcher's Garden stitch along. And if you haven't seen that, the Primrose ladies are joining along with us in this stitch along, and that they've released their own color conversion that they did with Holly from Mrs. Jones Stitches. And I'll make sure I put that link below so that if you love their color conversion, you can go buy that pack and get that in so you can start enjoying along with us. So I've kind of gone back and forth, and I originally picked colors, and anyways, I totally changed my mind yesterday. So I'm using, I haven't started yet. I just have it pinned in the center, which a lot of times I don't start in the center, but this piece of fabric is gonna have small margin as far as borders. So I wanna make sure that I start this one in the center. And this one is called, like I said, I've never used it, and it's a 16 count, and it's Grandma's Stuffing. And I can't remember who it's by. It's like, it's like a mix of like it's hard to see it there. It's a yellow, it's a hand dyed, and I can't remember who it's by. So I'll have to look that up and put it in the show notes. But, so I have this ready to start in the center. And then, I am not using any of the called for colors, and people have been messaging me saying like, well, what colors are, you know, so here's the thing. I did pick the color palette for myself. So the Classic Colorworks that I'm using, I'll put these, are Ladybug, Black Coffee, Snowball, Sunset, and Queen Bee. So those are all the Classic Colorworks colors that I'm going to use. And then, in addition to those, I am going to use Cosmos that I had in my stash, Cosmo Floss, just because I was liking some of the color tones and I wasn't finding it in the colors I had, or in my Classic Colorworks, or even Color and Cotton. I just wasn't finding it, and I had these Cosmos. So I'm going to be using Cosmo 897, 842, 898, 2402, 834, 631, and 632. And so those are all the Cosmos I'm going to be using. And you can see this is definitely a different color palette than what is on the pattern. And so my intention is, let me see if I can hold up all of these together. So those would be all the colors. And I just dropped them. I think in the current, there's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the actual pattern, there's only 7 colors. And how many did I say I'm using? A lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm using 12 colors. So I don't have an exact plan worked out yet, exactly where it's going to be, but I do know something like, you know, like, okay, so the tomato, the pin cushion, I know that I'm going to do that in a ladybug color because I want to see the variegation, and I want that tomato to be red. Something like the spools, I'm probably going to do in 2 different colors of aqua, because you can see there's a light and a dark. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do this, a Stitcher's Garden, the name, the fence, and the house all using white or not yet. So I kind of just pull these other colors that I may throw in, but I kind of feel like I'm going to do it as I go. I know that's not very helpful, but I'll try to post on my Instagram stories. I may not post on as an actual post, but on my stories as I'm going, which colors I'm using where. So I am going to do a couple like just random type giveaways. Haven't figured that out yet, with the stitch along. And I will be doing those on Instagram. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram at simplystitchingocala, and make sure that you follow the hashtag A Stitcher's Garden Sal, S-A-L. So you can look for whatever prompts, or again, haven't figured out yet, but I am going to give away some patterns as prizes for that. And like I said, I will put below the link for the conversion that Mrs. Jones did with the Primrose ladies if you would like to pre-order the floss pack from them. So, okay, so let's get to winners from last week's video. So the winners from last week's video, so I was giving away the finishing house that I used to finish the cross stitch I showed you last week. And the winner of that is going to be Joanne Toby. and it's Joanne, JoanneToby 710. So Joanne Toby 710. If you can email me at the email listed below and let me know what you've won and send me your mailing and address, I can get that out to you. And then the second winner, this is a zipper pull. Put it here so you can see it. This is a zipper pull, and it's looks like Raven writing that says crafty, and that's courtesy of Heather from Vintage Moose on Etsy, and she also does great needle minders as well, so you can check her out on Etsy. And the winner of this is Elizabeth Kraftnick, and her YouTube name is Elizabeth ElizabethKrafnick 5466. Sorry, that was a lot. So it's Elizabeth Kraftnick 5466. So again, if you can email me your name, shipping address, and let me know that what you've won, I can get that out to you. My question, I asked how many whips you guys have, since I have quite a few. There was all kinds of answers, from like no whips, that they only have one project, to I think the highest was in the 50s or 60s, so more than me. So I'm okay with that. So the question this week I'm going to ask is, do you like to convert your floss colors, or do you stitch with what the designers actually, put on their patterns? I personally, it really just depends. There are some patterns I look at and I'm like, I love that just the way it is, right? And here's the thing. It's not that this Tiny Modernist, the Stitcher's Garden, I do think that's beautiful just how it is. I just am going to, if I was putting it somewhere different, like maybe in my house itself, not in my craft room, I may have stuck more along the lines of the colors that they have, but because my craft room is so much brighter, that's why I'm converting. And a lot of times that's, for me, it depends on where I have a vision when I'm stitching something, because again, I try to stitch my stuff, finish it, and put it out in my house, whether it's seasonally or up all the time. I will change the colors if I feel like I need to, depending on where it's going to be. So that's my question. I just want to know, do you convert the floss? Do you like to do that? Do you do that? Or do you tend to stick with what the designers list? So this week, we're going to have two different giveaways. So number one is going to be one of my bee floss catchers that you put your little snips of thread in with with this pattern. The lovely ladies at Primrose generously donated some patterns to me for giveaways. So I would rather be stitching, since we're all doing such great bee stitching right now. And this coordinates, these are the same colors that if you're doing Hive Rules, same colors. So this together is going to be giveaway number one. And then another generous one from them is Fresh Lemonade by Primrose. And that'll be probably after my bee stitching, because I want to put summer, I do lemons and strawberries kind of up for summery after my patriotic. So I can't wait. I need to stitch this one. And I think this is the one that Holly did for our Friends Exchange, I'm pretty sure, yeah. So anyways, super cute. So this is number two. So don't put giveaway, just answer the question again about the floss conversion, and if you'd like number one, number two, or both. And I think that's all for this week. Again, if you do celebrate Easter, I hope you have a great time with your family and friends. I would love it if you subscribe, if you're a new If you're a new watcher, I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I'd love it if you'd share it with your friends. I just enjoy sharing my cross stitch and sometimes other crafting items with you. And so I appreciate you taking a few minutes to spend with me, and I hope you have a great week. Thanks.